our relationship development class. And so what we're really talking about is, how to be top of mind. I mean, this is really what, we are in the relationship business. And we all know that that's what this is about. But what does that mean, and how do we cultivate that? The biggest challenge, I think, for myself was I didn't want to be, that guy or that gal where it was every time I came somewhere, they were like, oh, geez, he's going to talk about, here comes Rick, he's going to talk about real estate. At the same time, I knew that it was super important that people had me top of brain when it did come time for them to be, needing a realtor or needing to refer a realtor. Their friend says, hey, who's a good realtor in town? So how do we do that? And hopefully what we're going to give you today is an answer to that question. How do we be top of brain in a kind of fun and effective way that's systemic and but also very effective? And I'm having a hard time with my I apologize. For some reason, my little clicker here is not working. Okay. So one of the things is, I'm going to go back again. Sorry. Purposeful phone calls. All right, here we go. I have no idea what's going on with my clicker. So we're going to get what we get, I guess, out of this. But purposeful phone calls. So, on your daily navigator, one of the big sections is, contacts, right? Touches. And we include text messages. That's okay. Purposeful emails and so forth. But really having a purposeful phone call or conversation with somebody is a really big component. And we want to make sure that when we're having those calls, that we're always coming from contribution. In other words, we're thinking about what are we adding to this conversation, not so much what are we getting out of it. And also, ideally, you always want to have something to give them to look forward to. And we're going to get into client events later, but being able to always say to them at the very least, by the way, in April, we're having that shred event. I'm not sure if you got our postcard that was the save the date, but we've got that shred event coming up, or we've got that party in the park. I know you guys had a good time last year coming, and we're doing that again, or we're doing the movie and so forth. So something, even if it's months away, it's something that they have to look forward to that you're giving to them. Now, on the weekly navigator, if you're using that, and if you're not, hopefully you're going to implement that soon. At the top of it, it has the days of the week. And as you know, we go down each day and we fill in those categories. Now, you don't have to do just those categories, but one of the biggest challenges realtors have is, I don't know who to call or when to call or what to say when I do call. And so what we're going to talk about here is every single day of the week having a theme, so that as you're making other calls that need to be made, clearly these are not always going to fit in this category, that you have a direction or a purpose. One of the greatest things about this system is that your clients are going to hear from you every single week, anybody who's active at all. So we do the Monday check-in for all active buyers and sellers. And you always want to make sure that you have an informed status, especially, and this isn't the case right at the moment, but as listings, if the market starts to change, listings are sitting there a little bit longer, there's an entire process for making sure that your clients are staying updated and they're being given the right information. So when it's time to make a price change because their house isn't moving, you've earned that price change because you've kept them in the loop, and it'll be obvious to them that something needs to happen. The most common thing for realtors to do is, house doesn't sell, they priced it wrong in the first place, or the seller convinced them the price is too high, whatever it is. And then you don't really know what to say. So you don't talk to them for a while, except for the part where, there's no list, there's nobody coming, but there's no purposefulness to your call, rather than giving them hard data and making sure that they're hearing from you every single week. And then at some point, gosh, I really need to lower the price here. But you haven't given them all the data on all they're frustrated. And then what ends up happening is they go, you're not advertising it enough. You're not doing enough. There isn't enough open house. In other words, they blame you rather than looking at the facts going, oh, it's obvious, we need to do something here. But you want to be purposeful about your Monday check-ins. Also, buyers love this as well, where they're hearing from you on a regular basis. It's not about selling them. It's not about saying, you should go look at houses. Did you see this one? It's about staying in communication with them, checking in with them, and that kind of thing. All right. The other thing about that time when you have those Monday calls is it's the best time for what we call current client referrals, CCRs. Current client referrals, this is your highest point at which it's easy to ask for or put in their head, hey, this is a great time for you to introduce us to somebody who you know that's thinking about buying or selling a home. Now, we always are talking about being in flow and, not being overly bearing. And we don't want to lead off with, hey, who do you know that's thinking about buying or selling a home that I can help? We were on our call yesterday for the book club, and we talked about this. It's not that you never do that, but you want to earn the right and have the right opportunity to ask for that business. And one of those best places is during a Monday check-in call. When you've checked in with them, you've done all the things, they're super happy with you because they know that you're on top of it. When you hear that pleasure from them, you want to say, hey, by the way, as we're going through this process, because of the fact that you're in it, you're going to come across other people that are thinking about buying or selling. And when that does happen, I would really love it if we could make a connection so that we can help them the way we're helping you. Does that sound good to you? Or are you open to that, some version of that question? And you'd be surprised at how many people are completely, they're like, yes, I hadn't even thought about that, but I'm totally willing to do that. All right. Now, Tuesdays is, at least for me and on the Weekly Navigator, is VIP days. Now, in a perfect world, you have about 50 VIPs that you can really have a good VIP relationship with. And maybe someday we'll do a special class on just what it's all about to be, to have VIPs and how to cultivate that. But the VIPs, remember, are the people that just 100% love your business. They're enthusiastic for you. You are their person. They're going to send you business all the time. They love you. You love them. You love talking to them. That's what a VIP is. And we want to make sure that they're hearing from us at least once a month. So I divide my VIPs into 4 lists of 12. And every first, for example, first Tuesday, the first 12 people get called. Second Tuesday, the second 12, and so forth. So that my VIPs in a purposeful way are hearing from me at least once a month. Remember, these people want to hear from me. These are not your regular people. These are not your buyers or your past sellers necessarily. These are people who you're in close relationship with. And it's making sure that you are being purposeful about talking to them. And when you call them, you want to be looking for information that you can add to what we call an all about you form. All about you form is what you might think it is. It's like everything that you want to know about that person. Their spouse's name, their kid's name, birthdays, anniversaries, what's their favorite, sweet, dessert, chocolate, candy, whatever. Where's their favorite restaurant? What's their favorite band? Where do they love what kind of concerts or entertainment do they like to do? Like, you want to know all the things, and you want to be looking for those answers as you're having these curious conversations with them. You want to invite them to coffee or break breads, having lunch or any kind of meals with them. This totally adds value to that kind of relationship where you're going, below the waterline. You're not just surface level. You're talking about real human relationship stuff. And invite them to events, or even create events to go, 2 or 3 times a year. I'm inviting my VIPs to a comedy thing or a ball game, or I think we're doing one in April. We're doing a jazz concert, and we're all going to go to this jazz concert. But going and doing things together, inviting them even over to your house, really cultivating that relationship. Okay, Wednesdays, new leads, old leads. So this is your day that you should be following up on the leads that you have generated recently, but all the way back months before. This is a great time to be purposeful. Hey, just checking in. I know we connected with each other on Zillow a few months ago. We saw that one house together. I don't know where you're at, but I just want to check in and let you know that I'm still here to help you if you have any questions about real estate, or somebody who you just got a lead from one way or the other, making sure that they have been touched. It's so common for realtors. It's out of sight, out of mind. You don't have a place that where these leads are, and you just forget about them. I do. If that's you, we have a lead tracker sheet. We'll have Nicole send it out to you. That is a spreadsheet that keeps track of all the leads that you get by month. And you can just click at the bottom, January, February, and you can see where the leads, who they are, what their contact information is, where they came from, so that you can make sure that you're following up with them. Because sometimes people initially reach out and they're just not quite ready yet, but by the time they are ready, they've forgotten about you unless you've had a chance to stay in front of them. So you want to be purposeful about lead days. Now, letter of the week. This is not a written letter. This is the letter of the alphabet per week. So week 1 of the year is A, week 2 is B, and so forth. This is a way for you to take everybody that isn't in your VIP list and make sure that they hear from you twice a year. There's 26 letters in the alphabet, 52 weeks a year. I know it's very clever. Obviously, you take weeks off, but you can, there's letters that there's no people in or whatever. But the idea again is that we're hearing from you with a phone call. This is a great opportunity to invite them to a client event or talk about some special thing that you've got going on for them. Again, it's just top of brain. In addition to this, we're going to get into other mailings. This isn't the only thing they're hearing from you or seeing from you, because they're always to be getting mailers and invitations and so forth. But this is just to solidify that again, and always have something that you're inviting them, even if it's months away. Hey, in the summertime, we're doing a picnic in the park. It's at McNear Park. It's going to be great. We're going to have a bouncy. We're going to have a taco truck. The theme this year, we do the last couple of years, the theme we've been, well, not COVID. We haven't had it for a couple of years, but prior to that, we were doing milkshakes and water guns. That was our theme. So we would have kids. Well, we'll get into this in a minute, because that's an event. So sorry, I got ahead of myself. Okay, and then Fridays is business development. So just like any business, we can't just rely on the existing relationships that we already have. We have to always be backfilling and looking for more VIPs and more clients that will, backfill our business. VIPs are going to go away. Your relationships are going to change. They're going to get out of the business or whatever it is. You need to be out there creating more business relationships with people who are going to refer business to you. And so on Fridays, it's the dreaded cold calls, but they don't have to be that cold. They can be warm leads. You can, last week we talked about the triangle of trust and asking your current VIPs to introduce you to others, but it's to follow up on those. So it's all about cultivating those business people in the world that are not yet VIPs, but may be worthy of a VIP relationship. Remember, not everybody is worthy of that. These are people that you should like, that you feel comfortable with. And it takes a while to establish, do I like these people or not? So that's what Fridays is. All right. So that's all the purposeful phone calls. Now, snail mail, it actually works. And especially as email has gotten more and more common, snail mail is more expensive, obviously. Email is free, right? Basically, unless you have a service. Snail mail costs money. So actually there's less competition now in the mailbox than there have been in many, many years. And so if you're purposeful about what you're sending them, it can be quite effective. So one of the things that we send out is called below the waterline letter, the below the waterline letter. This is a place where you get to write out something that has nothing to do with real estate, a story from your past, so at a place where you learned something in your life, a recent trip that you took or whatever about, with your family and something amazing happened. Anything that you want that has nothing to do with real estate. That's what's important about it. It's important, you can talk about whatever's important to you. It doesn't matter. And sharing struggle or pain is definitely, pulling on people's heartstrings. They love it. This is how they can identify. This is how they start to like you even more than they already do. Or they're reminded of how much they liked you. Let's say they did a deal with you 3 years ago and they loved you, but then 3 years has gone by. They don't remember but I know I love that person. Well, they're going to find out when they read your letter. They're like, oh yeah, that's why I really like that person. Recently, a couple months ago, I ran a marathon and it didn't go the way I had planned. It was my first marathon. I thought I was going to do a certain thing. And it was a struggle for me. It was really hard. And I shared that experience of what happened, but that ultimately I was able to cross the finish line and that was good. And I got so many, people just texting me out of blue. Hey, got your letter. I love it. people that I don't really communicate with that often. Here's another, like, this is last month's letter, and there's nothing on here that says anything about real estate. This one I talk about awareness and how important it is to be aware of people that are maybe trying to change, that everybody can change, and blah, blah, blah. And Nicole will send you a copy of this as well. So we don't need to go through the details of this, but this is what it looks like. It's just a letter. It does have my logo. It has in this case, it has my picture on it, but I don't say anything like send me real estate or anything like that. It's just purely a, below the waterline letter. And to a man, people say, I don't have anybody else sending me anything like this, right? So this is a way for you to separate yourself and be different. The other one is to have what we call evidence of success. And this is one where you are talking about real estate, because at the same time, you do want to say, hey, I'm actually really good at what I do. Let me give you some evidence of that. So, a just sold postcard, something like this, that shows that you know what you're doing and that you did it. So they're two separate things, equally important, but sending just one or the other isn't going to work. They do need to go together. And you can imagine if they're then also getting, a phone call from you, can you see how this is all coming together, making sure that you're top of brain? Now, personal notes. This is another thing. It's kind of a lost art. I know that, I don't know if Dana's on the call or not right now, but Dana started doing personal notes again, and she's just getting this tremendous response. You can send them out for any reasons. I have cards that I actually made that are custom. Has my little face on there. It's a character, whatever. This is a hello one, but I have a thank you one as well. And you just drop a quick little note and thank them for, like, every time I go out to lunch with somebody, hey, it's great to spend time with you. I drop in a little something about whatever we talked about. Or the other thing is that recently I've been doing my anniversaries of when somebody bought a home, and Nicole made a whole list of everybody when they bought it every month. So I just write a little note that says, hey, can you believe it's been X amount of years since you bought your home? What a great investment you made. Talk to you soon, or something like that. Like, I don't ask them for business. I'm just reminding them that I'm there, but I'm taking the time to write them a personal note. Okay, emails. If you haven't figured it out yet in our conversations, I'm not a big fan of emails. I think that that we all get so many emails. I'm only clicking on the emails that I absolutely have to look at that are important. In fact, if Nicole's not here today, she's stuck in Oklahoma, by the way. So send her good thoughts. It's like 8 degrees there. And her plane wouldn't take off. But Nicole would tell you that I don't even read. She filters all my emails for me. I don't even read the ones that are important, let alone the ones that aren't. And so I don't think this is a great way to stay in front of people. But if you are going to use email, make sure it's purposeful. Give them value. Don't just cut and paste random stuff from whatever company you work for without giving it context. Make sure that it is, that it's really valuable. Okay, client events. I can't tell you how great it is to have 2 or 3 client events every single year. I've already kind of talked about how important it is to it's the glue that kind of connects all these things. It's something to always talk about. Whether people show up or not is kind of the least important part of it. They're getting invited to something fun, and you are the one inviting them. So whether they show up or not, you are getting the feel good about, of that actual event, no matter what it is. So I feel like my show up rate is probably maybe 15 or 20% of the database. Database is about 400. Maybe it's 450, something like that. So like when we rent a movie theater, we get about 100, 125 people to show up. In the questions, if you want to know more about the client events in the movie theater or whatever, that's fine. But it's a great way to, again, be top of brain. It doesn't have to be expensive. It's we like the one that we do in the park. We partner up with a charity, and we have a local charity here that it serves so many people in our community, and they do a pot painting. So they bring in pottery you paint it, you make a donation for each one, and we just make the donation for the clients. So the clients get to do however many they want. And then they put it in a kiln, and then they auction off the things that you painted, and then that money goes to for the charity. So it's fun for everybody. It's a great reason to have people out there. It's a fundraiser. Anyway, so things like that. Like think outside the box and come up with these events. You can also partner with a lender or some other vendor if you're allowed to do that in whatever area that you're in. Some ideas. I've already talked about this a little bit, but party in the park, rent a movie theater, shred event, a pie giveaway. Doing a happy hour for VIPs. I don't currently do that. I have done that in the past. The way it works is that you pick the same place and the same time once a month. Every Thursday, we're going to be down at McGillicuddy's Bar from 5 to 7. I hope you can make it. Bring a friend. I'm buying drinks and, whatever. And it's the same routine, and you have the same people show up, and it can definitely cultivate business. A gifting program. This is another way there's different ways you can leverage this. We just signed up with a company that we've given them our VIP list, and our VIPs are going to get a gift 4 times a year. I will get it too, so I'll know that they got it and I'll know what it is. But we've kind of picked out what it is. We know they're going to be, it's just, again, top of brain, but you can do little stuff as well. Milestones during a transaction is another way to do gifting. But it's a matter of being purposeful, again, putting it in your calendar, having a plan, having whoever you work with implement the plan. And, ideally, in addition to our VIPs getting those other gifts, I want to make sure that because I have the All About You form, that I want to send them something special on their birthday, right? Something that's tailored to them, something that they, that's important to them. That's not just a random, not well thought out gift. Okay, so what are the roadblocks? Well, for one thing, you might be looking at all this going, oh my God, that's a lot. I cannot do all that. And that's true. You're right. You cannot, and do not try to do all that stuff all at once. I'm going ahead here, but the homework is going to be pick 1 or 2 of these items and try to implement them. Implementing these over like a year or 2 is doable. Trying to implement sooner than that, I think would be very hard. I'm not saying it's impossible. But I think those are, that the other roadblocks are kind of probably going to be, I can't afford that, because a lot of the things that I talked about, maybe there's some money involved. And I will tell you that I would say you can afford not to do it. I can't, every time I do a client event, for example, every single time, somewhere the week later, somebody from those events calls me and they go, hey, it's great to see you. By the way, I was just thinking, I have this person, and if you haven't done it yet, and Kevin, I've been thinking about this, but we have to figure out what a deal is worth to you. What is your average deal worth, right? So like my average deal is worth, I think like $21,000-ish. So I have to think about everybody I talk to, every phone call I make, every card I write, all of those things, that not that it's necessarily all about the money, but that I don't want to be like not doing something and playing small ball when really every transaction that I actually close is worth a lot of money. And I have to be mindful of that. I know it's obvious, but knowing really what that number is important, because when you're like making that VIP call that you don't want to, you're making the business development call that you don't want to make, or you're signing up for a client event that you're worried that it's going to cost, because it's going to cost $1,500 and you don't have it, or whatever it is, that we're fishing for bigger fish here. So don't get lost in the weeds. Don't be, penny wise and pound foolish, as they say. Okay, so the homework, as I've already said, is to take a moment, look at all these items. Remember, this is recorded, so you can go back and watch this again, because I know I went through it fairly fast. But pick 2 of them that you aren't already doing, and one at a time implement either one. Live coach tomorrow, Thursday at 9, is a great time to also have more follow-up to this, especially if you get done with the class today, you try and do some stuff, and it might pose some questions. So come back tomorrow for that.